Every few months, it feels like we're right back here again. Another funding deadline, another round of political standoffs, and millions of Americans left, wondering what happens to their benefits if Washington doesn't act fast enough. And while Congress goes back and forth, agencies are already preparing for delays. That means real people are bracing for the same old question: will my check show up on time or not? At the same time, Social Security offices nationwide are drowning in backlogs. Claims are piling up, disability decisions are dragging on, and the people who need help the most are stuck waiting in the dark. If you've felt ignored or pushed aside by this system, you're not alone. And that's not the only pressure point right now. Medicare Advantage plans are under fresh federal scrutiny for aggressive marketing. SNAP programs are feeling the strain as food prices rise faster than support can keep up. Veterans are facing longer wait times and more red tape. And on top of all that, there's a growing worry about next year's cost of living. Will benefits rise enough to match the bills? Or will seniors fall even further behind? Before we get into the details, I'd love to hear from you. What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? Delays, healthcare choices, groceries, rent, or something else altogether? Your voice helps guide these updates. Because as complicated as all this sounds, we're just getting started. And what happens next could shape the rest of the year for anyone living on a fixed income. It feels like every year we reach another moment where millions of Americans find themselves holding their breath, waiting to see what Congress will do next. And here we are again. Another funding deadline is approaching, and while lawmakers insist they're working toward an agreement, agencies are already preparing for the possibility of delays. Even when a shutdown doesn't happen, the uncertainty alone is enough to shake anyone who relies on Social Security, SNAP, VA healthcare, or Medicare. People who've spent their lives working and paying in are left wondering if their benefits will be processed on time, if their local office will stay open, or if they're going to face yet another round of bureaucratic slowdowns. And the truth is, this isn't just politics. It's personal, because the impact lands directly on kitchen tables. And for many households, those delays hurt even more, because Social Security offices nationwide are already overwhelmed. Claims are backed up. Disability applications are taking longer. Appeals can stretch out for months, sometimes years. And the staffing shortages aren't new. They're part of a long pattern that leaves seniors and disabled Americans feeling ignored at the exact moment they need help the most. For someone waiting on a decision that determines whether they can afford rent, medication, or food, every extra week feels like another weight piled on top of an already heavy load. When you see headlines about processing delays, it is easy to forget that behind every case number is a real person who's just trying to survive. And while people struggle to get clarity from Social Security, another part of the system is facing scrutiny of its own. Medicare Advantage and Part D prescription drug plans continue to draw attention from federal regulators. Each year, during enrollment seasons, agencies warn seniors to be cautious about aggressive marketing, misleading mailers, and confusing sales pitches. It's become common to hear from people who feel overwhelmed by phone calls and advertisements telling them to switch plans immediately. Even though many plans offer important benefits, choosing the wrong one can mean losing access to your doctor or paying more out of pocket. So when the government steps in to review marketing practices or tighten oversight, it's not just bureaucracy at work. It's an attempt to protect people from pressure, confusion, and costly mistakes. And for seniors trying to make sense of it all, reassurance and clear information matter more than ever. But Medicare isn't the only system under pressure. Food assistance programs across the country are feeling the strain as well. States have been adjusting SNAP disbursement schedules, emergency allotments have ended, and food banks are reporting higher demand than they've seen in years. At the same time, grocery prices remain stubbornly high, making it harder for families on tight budgets to stretch each benefit payment. When you look at the numbers, it's easy to understand why anxiety is rising. A dollar of support simply doesn't go as far as it did before. And every trip to the store becomes a reminder that even small increases in food costs hit low-income households the hardest. These aren't abstract policy discussions. They're everyday experiences that shape whether families can put meals on the table. And that leads directly into one of the biggest questions on people's minds. What happens next year with the cost of living? Analysts and policymakers are watching inflation trends closely, trying to understand whether the next COLA increase will give retirees enough breathing room or fall short again. Even modest changes in inflation can reshape benefit adjustments. And for someone living on a fixed income, a few percentage points make a real difference. Will the next increase cover rising rent, soaring utility bills, or higher medical costs? Or will people find themselves slipping even further behind? That uncertainty is one of the strongest emotional drivers in the Social Security community, because it touches every part of life. When prices rise faster than benefits, the math simply stops working, and that fear stays with people every single day. And if you're someone who served in the military, you already know that the VA system carries its own set of challenges. Staffing shortages, outdated systems, and rising claims volume continue to put pressure on veterans' healthcare and benefits processing. These issues tend to get worse during funding debates, when agencies pause hiring or shift resources just to keep essential services going. Veterans report longer wait times for appointments, slower responses to claims, and more difficulty navigating a system that was supposed to support them. And even if you're not a veteran yourself, most Americans feel strongly about making sure those who served aren't left behind. It's a topic that hits a nerve for good reason. When someone who sacrificed for their country has to fight the system just to receive care, it raises questions about priorities and accountability. When you put all these pieces together, the funding deadlines, the backlogs, the Medicare oversight, the food assistance pressure, the cost of living uncertainty, and the strain on veteran services, a clear picture emerges. Across the board, the systems people depend on are running close to capacity, and every time Congress pushes negotiations to the last minute, it creates new waves of anxiety for the people who have the least room for error. A missed check, a delayed appeal, a confusing healthcare plan, an empty pantry. None of these are small issues. They're daily realities that shape financial security and quality of life. So as we dive deeper into each topic in the days ahead, I'd love to hear what you're dealing with right now. If you're comfortable sharing, tell me in the comments what part of this impacts you the most. Social Security delays, rising grocery bills, Medicare confusion, or something else entirely. Your experiences help shape what we cover next, and they remind lawmakers and agencies that real people are on the other side of every decision. There's a lot unfolding, and we're going to keep breaking it down step by step. Because while the headlines may change, the core question stays the same. What happens next? And how will it affect the people who rely on these programs the most? Stay with me, because the next updates will be just as important as the ones we're covering today.